Today was a bloody and destructive series of events that took place in France in the decade after 1789. Often considered to be the emergence of the modern state, the French Revolution was inspired by Enlightenment ideals such as reason and science, and was truly a revolution of the people. However, it is the consideration of the revolution from the point of view of people who hailed from different classes that allows for the holistic truth of this unrest to be revealed. For a revolution centered around the tension among social classes, it is only through the eyes of an aristocrat, a peasant woman, a queen, and a man who became Emperor of France despite his humble upbringing, that the events and message of the French Revolution can truly be understood. Ironically, although the government of France began and ended the revolution as a monarchy, what occurred between those years were radical ideas and actions that challenged the deep-rooted hierarchy in France and laid the foundation for a government led by the people.
Before the beginning of the French Revolution, France was experiencing tumultuous times, which I did not feel. The common working class were most affected, but I was a nobleman who was part of the king's court and did not face the brunt of the financial crisis in France. I lived a lavish life in the heart of France, in the Palace of Versailles, and many accused me of being lazy and undeserving of my privilege. Discontent, the population demanded that the Parliament and the Estates General, which had not convened since 1614, reconvene. Now in 1789, there were three estates, one which represented the aristocracy, the second which represented the clergy, and the third, and the largest, which represented the best men of the working class. On May 4th, 1789, a ceremony to commemorate the ancient regime was held, and the king and queen were wearing lavish gowns of gold and silver. The 1,200 members of the third estate wore black and gold undercoats, holding a candle in their hands, as well as a banner inscribed King's Falconers. I was offended when, at the end of the procession, Monsieur de la Fère, Bishop of Nancy, gave a speech which denounced the life of the nobles like me. The peace did not last forever. Referring to the tennis court oath, the Third Estate decided to assemble in an indoor tennis court to define the king's demand to disperse. During that time, the Estate General decided not to disband until they formed a constitution, claiming they needed it in order to fill the deficiency of King Louis. They named themselves the National Assembly, and they surrendered Versailles to dismiss Jacques Necker, a fiscal reformer, and a few days later, on July 14th, the French citizens mobilized to storm the Bastille. Around this time, and even before, myself and my noble friends fled the country to other European countries, and there we plotted to overthrow the revolution, hoping to restore the old regime and our old power.
By the close of the 1780s, the aristocracy began gaining the political influence they hoped would balance the power of the monarchy. With the redistribution of the Third Estate and the formation of the National Assembly, members of the French aristocracy found a new foundation in political advocacy on which to build their influence. However, while the aristocracy earned their voice, other factions of society still struggled to find political representation.
In 1789, the Declaration of Rights of Man was published by the National Assembly, and they declared that all men are born free and equal, have the right to liberty, property, security, revolt, whatnot. Basically, they decided we're free now, no more monarchical oppression. We got the political power distributed the way we want it, and now it's time for the men of France to kick it on the National Assembly. But only some of us, and obviously only men.
In 1791, the short-lived reign of the National Convention concluded as it became the Legislative Assembly with the publication of the Constitution of 1791. This established a system of republic governed by the people, in which citizens could qualify as active or passive citizens. Active citizens being those who paid a substantial tax to maintain the right to vote, with passive citizens being denied this democratic right.
For her opinion on this initial period of Reconstruction, we talked to famed feminist and equal rights activist Olympe Gouges for her thoughts. Going. Bienvenue, Olympe! The National Assembly has fought for a more fair distribution of power among the people. What are your thoughts on this revolutionary new period of political activity? The National Assembly has only distributed the power to affluent, privileged, land-owning males. That hardly counts as equal representation. The Declaration of Rights of Man doesn't even mention women. These men claim to be fighting for liberty and equality for all, but they hardly see lower-class populations or even women as valid citizens. I published my declaration to show the gender inequities in our French politics and to protest the unfair requirements the Assembly has established to have a basic right such as voting. There's still so much progress to be made in our new government. So it sounds like, from what you're saying, that this is going great, that there's no more things to do, everyone is equal now, everyone has all the rights they should have, and we're satisfied. Back to you.
Just a few months before the Legislative Assembly published their new constitution, King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette attempted to flee to Lille as they saw animosity toward the crown growing. However, the royal family was recognized just before leaving the country and escorted back to Paris. This attempt at escape solidified the king and queen as traitors and stripped the crown of its power, emboldening the National Assembly to establish France as a republic with their new constitution.
On the 21st of January, 1793, Louis XVI was executed by guillotine. The decision to guillotine Louis was decided because of his involvement in corrupt behavior with foreign powers. The French National Convention sentenced him to die. In February, after declaring war with Britain, France pioneered the levee en masse, which essentially was a draft for any able-bodied and unmarried men to go in. Later that month, the Assembly of Republican Women requested to hold a meeting in the space that the Jacobins normally met in. However, the Jacobins, led by Robespierre, took their influence hayward, and they threw their support on the controlled market with price controls and severe punishments for people who disobeyed the rules. In April, the Committee of Public Safety was created and became essentially the government of France. Led by Robespierre, the Committee of Public Safety began to guillotine anyone whose political views did not align with the radical views of the revolution. This continuous actions of mass execution became known as the Reign of Terror. As the turmoil continued, the Society for Revolutionary Republican Women officially formed on May 10th of that year, and the society would unify wearing red caps in solidarity of the revolution. However, the society was hit with the hard death of Jean-Paul Marat as they supported his left extremist views. And on the 16th of September 1793, the society began to fall. The Jacobins denounced the society's leader, and from here, suspicions of the society grew deeper. On October 30th, the Society for Revolutionary Women officially fell. But the fall of the society was not the only fall for women. On July 25th, 1793, Olympe de Gouges was charged with having views different than the majority of France, and for her writings directed against those in powerful positions. Following her interrogation, she was guillotined on November 3rd, and on October of that year, Marie Antoinette was also guillotined. People began to get suspicious of Robespierre's approach to this thing called the revolution.
As soon as the Reign of Terror ended with the execution of Robespierre, France was able to enact new laws that aided in its ability to form a republic.
France's victories over Prussia and Spain led to a newfound sense of accomplishment, leading to the creation of the new constitution. The new constitution was soon ratified, leading to the establishment of a republic. This new republic was led by 5 directors and a bicameral legislature of 500 people. This is the equivalent to our House of Representatives, and 250 people in the equivalent to our Senate. Even though this new form of government was established, France was still under attack from Great Britain, and eventually they were under attack from their own people. In October of 1795, there was a royalist uprising in Paris, leading to a second storming of the Tuileries. The basis for this uprising was the feelings of exclusion from the royalists. The royalists severely outnumbered the rest, but Napoleon came to the rescue. Using his tactics from being an artillery captain, he was able to pull together cannon, wiping out the royalists, and finally allowing the Directory to come to power. Although Napoleon rescued the Directory, they soon began to fear that he would threaten their power. In this vein, he was then put in charge of the campaign into Italy, while France continued to battle Austria and Great Britain. Napoleon was very successful in Italy, leading Austria to make peace with France in October 1797.
On the surface, the French Revolution might appear as nothing more than an era of famine and countless executions and bloodshed. After all, France's government before the revolution and after it ended was a monarchy, which doesn't inherently point to radical political change. But the events that took place throughout the French Revolution were indeed radical, because they paved the way for the recognition that there is power in common people, in women, in peasants, and in people from every social class. The French Revolution was more than just a revolt against the monarchy and a catalyst for many deaths. It truly laid the framework for the democratic ideals that we hold so dearly today, and most importantly, it gave a voice to the people.
Vive la France! Vive la France! Vive la Revolution! Vive la